Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. Check this out. Warning for Firefox users. Over 40 fake crypto wallet extensions have been found on Mozilla Firefox, stealing user credentials in an ongoing phishing campaign. Wallets targeted include MetaMask, Coinbase, Trust Wallet, Phantom, and more. If you're sick of having to go to bed at night worrying about this kind of stuff like I am, then you might want to look at iTrustCapital. They have their closed loop system. It cuts all this stuff out, folks, because it's crypto and dollars in and only dollars out. I mean, a hacker can basically, they could get your credentials and they can log you into any site. But this is what prevents these guys, and this is what I was talking to my dad, the official father of the Digital Asset Investor channel, about yesterday. He's like, I'm opening an iTrustCapital account. I'm tired of worrying about this. And that's how most of the people listening to my voice are. I've got 3 accounts there. I've got a couple IRAs and I've got a premium custody account. When they first started the premium custody accounts, you could not send your crypto into them, but now you can. So you can send your XRP into the account. You get free institutional custody. The only fees you pay is a 1% trading fee back and forth, buying and selling and that kind of thing. So if you want to open an account, they are my longtime partner with iTrustCapital. You can go to itrustcapital.com/XRP Army to open it. That's the website that they created here for me and Brad Combs. Go check it out. Market's boring right now, but let me tell you what's not boring is I uncovered, there was an interview with Jack McDonald, who runs Ripple RLUSD. And so there was a interview with him and the Wormhole, one of the Wormhole founders. Remember, Wormhole just partnered with Ripple. Now I'm going to play you a couple of clips here. In the group, I'm going to play you the ultimate clip, which is where Jack McDonald, I think it might be the first time that it's acknowledged that Ripple is working with BlackRock. You're going to want to see that. You can go to daixrp.com to join through the Patreon, or you can click the join button right below this YouTube video for that, or you can subscribe through X.
Can you tell us more about what brought Ripple and Wormhole together, and what this collaboration is aiming to unlock?
Yeah, I gotta measure how close I am here. I think what's exciting about what we just kind of announced today is that everyone's very familiar with Ripple and the success around Ripple and obviously the XRP, XRPL ecosystem. But now it's kind of getting to this critical point, and we were talking earlier about kind of this XRPL or Ripple ecosystem renaissance, right? You have this blockchain ecosystem, so the EVM sidechain now, you have XRPL, and it's largely been separated from the rest of crypto, right? We're probably all familiar with active chains like Solana, Ethereum, Sui, etc., and there hasn't been any connectivity to date. And I think what's exciting about now is, Ripple has been around for so long. Now is really that time where Ripple's going to be connected to these other blockchains. So you're going to start to see activity flowing between EVM sidechain, XRPL, and all these other blockchains that we, probably know and use today. And so I think that in and of itself, for XRPL and for Ripple, the ecosystem is exciting, and for us as well. And when we were kind of working on this, one thing that's really, really important is the Ripple ecosystem, XRPL, is obviously well known. And so it's important to make sure that the connectivity to these blockchains is super secure. And so with Wormhole, we focus a lot on security in particular, work with a lot of institutions, and are going to bring that kind of same focus to what we're doing today.
And I would also just add that both, within the XRPL ecosystem, there's a desire to be multi-chain. We follow utility. We look at what our customers are looking to do and where they want to go. And so there's I think, a native desire to expand the optionality for our customers, or I should say for the XRPL ecosystem users, builders, et cetera. Within Ripple, where I sit, we also see the benefits of a multi-chain world, and even specifically within RLUSD, the stablecoin. While we've launched on both the XRP ledger and Ethereum natively to start, we're 6 months old. We do view the opportunity set expanding in the years ahead and looking for partners to do that with. We're not going to do everything on our own. And when you think about interoperability platforms like Wormhole, we think that there's a lot of opportunities to help bridge that divide, bring us to other chains, and doing that in a very secure and compliant and efficient way. And so we're really excited about where this partnership that we announced today can take the business in the years ahead.
Okay, and then there was this clip.
USDC's been around for a while. What does it look like for a stablecoin that maybe is more new, like RLUSD, for instance, to have a fresh start at making sure there's one native version across any chain it goes to? And I think we're at that stage today, which is exciting.
What is USDC? Never heard of it. From an operational standpoint, as an issuer, there are layers of complexity. And so we think very deliberately about where we're going to expand other chains. I would say there's a whole work stream around trying to determine where the utility is. Again, our business from day one and really across the board at Ripple is really an institutional use case sort of business. So we're looking for institutional utility wherever we travel. But as an issuer of a stablecoin, we have to really understand the different chains that we go to, not only keep track of them, but there are just nuances to it. And there's a lot of expertise involved in that issuance process, in the security and in the regulatory compliance components of it, which is why we would want to partner with the Wormhole of the world to help really bring that to fruition in a very efficient way. We also, as a regulated stablecoin issuer, our regulators, the New York Department of Financial Services, very deliberate about the chains that we go on. And so for us, every chain that we want to issue on, we have to get approved by DFS. Had we not had a trust company license and done this out of money transmitter licenses, there's a lot less rigor around the scrutiny and the approval process that you need to go through. So very involved from an operational standpoint, very involved from a regulatory standpoint. The other thing that we care deeply about is issuing natively on these other chains. We don't want to do it in a derivative or a wrapped sort of product. And so there's a lot of control that ultimately we have. We're basically placing a version of our issuer, our stablecoin issuer, on that chain. And ultimately it's our issuer that we would control and the ability to freeze and claw back if we ever wanted to do that. How we would work with Wormhole to do that is, the sort of exciting opportunities that we're exploring together, because I think it opens up a much broader range of utility and use cases and can get us there in a much more I think expeditious and compliant way. But we think about, different lenses, and as part of what the partnership, I think, will bring to us, that there are other, different areas that we have expertise in, that we are each incentivized, if you will, to really focus on what we do best and then rely on the other for those other areas.
So everything they're talking about there is about XRP becoming interoperable with everything else. Let's not forget what Chris Larson said.
There have been more people in the world with cell phones than plumbing.
Yeah.
And the World Bank has a gap that every adult in the world should have a so-called bank account in their phone by 2020. Don't think we're going to hit 2020, but we're going to hit it in the 2020s. So the technology is converging. Everybody's got the device in their hand if we can just figure out how to make the system connect them.
Yeah, we have so many of the component parts that are in place, but the cell phone represents kind of two of the components, right? It's, gives you a lot of the application layer on the top, right? Just like, Facebook and Google on the web. It gives you a lot of the databases or ledgers through the phone companies perhaps, or through banks at the bottom. But there's that missing layer of what is the IP, what is the shipping container that's going to wire them all together. And that's the part, thankfully, that's being introduced. Now, when you combine then those new apps, those new devices, those new databases with an interoperability layer, boom. I mean, that changes the world overnight. And I think we're so close to that. And that will create this Cambrian explosion of, some of the companies here that will suddenly have this global platform to be working on, which will make fintech so much easier. Everybody in fintech knows how difficult it is just within a country, let alone to try to go global. That is all about to change, and that's great for everybody.
There you go, folks. Happy 4th of July. Wanted to show you that. U.S. House designates July 14th through 18th as Crypto Week. So is that the week after next? It's coming, folks. And then Bo Hines, I always forget his title, Executive Director, President's Council of Advisors for Digital Assets. Congratulations to President Trump on the House for passing Big Beautiful Bill. Next up, Crypto Week in the House, week of the 14th. Genius is heading to the President's desk. Clarity Act, a phenomenally crafted market structure bill, is heading to the Senate. Clarity to the President's desk next. We will not slow down. We will keep winning. And then David Sachs, the crypto czar. Next up, Crypto Week, July 14th, Genius Act. It's heading to the President's desk. Clarity Act, market structure, heading to the Senate. Amazing progress, folks. And then JP Morgan predicts stablecoin growth will only reach $500 billion by 2028. The Bo Hines predicted 15 to 20 trillion, but I don't know if he gave a timeline. Here is the Treasury Secretary.
This administration's commitment to digital assets, it's innovation, because there's so many other things that happen around digital assets. And also, it's one of those things that it's one of the most important phenomena that's happening in the world, and the U.S. just ignored it.
Now this is where things get interesting. This is wild right here. Hasn't been done since 1930.
You know, your name gets floated out there. You have some odds on Polymarket of being the next Fed chair. Can you be a Fed chair and a Treasury Secretary at the same time?
Well, I think it hasn't been done since 1930 something, and I'm very happy in my job here. I think we have lots of good candidates for Fed chair. We will start working on that in the fall. We've been busy. The president's been doing peace deals, trade deals, tax deals, and we are landing the plane on all of those. So we're going to have more bandwidth after Labor Day.
That was not a no, I just want to point out, on the double job. Very interesting. Secretary Bessent, thank you for the time today.
All right, and then we have this. This is Judy Shelton on to play this clip.
I think that the Fed is playing a role in eroding the strength of the private sector in favor of more government. And that, to me, then is a slide towards something closer to socialism than capitalism. So I think the Fed needs to be, I think when people raise the specter, for example, of an authoritarian president who would try to wrest the economic reins of control away from the Fed, they're looking at it the wrong way. The Fed is not the little guy if it comes down to a battle of wills over determining the future of the economy of the United States. I think we should be more concerned about the concentration of power that is in a Federal Reserve that has no limits on the amount of U.S. government debt it can buy, no limits on the amount of money it can create with a keystroke, no limits on the amount of interest it can pay to commercial banks and money market mutual funds at the expense of taxpayers. And furthermore, I would just say there are no rules to protect the monetary integrity of the U.S. dollar against the Fed's pursuit of 2% annual debasement of our money unit. So if you're asking about good governance and whether those powers should be imbued in a government agency, and is that consistent with democratic self-governance? I'd say we need to look at that. That, to me, is the real threat.
Okay, we're going to go into the private group, daixrp.com for the Patreon, or if you'd rather join through YouTube, click the join button right below this video, or you can subscribe through X. I post them the videos. It's extended videos with extra content, no commercials. And today, I think I finally have the proof that BlackRock is a client of Ripple. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we go.